On today's show, the eve of NBA Finals. What if the Mavs win Game 1? What if they lose Game 1? What if the Celtics win Game 1? What if the Celtics lose Game 1? We're going to tell you what the conversation will be like tomorrow when one of those four things happens. On today's Locked On NBA, let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are locked on to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show. Making Locked On NBA your first listen today. With the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review on any podcast platform you listen to, leave a comment on YouTube, and like the video. Let us know how you feel about the NBA Finals. What do you think will happen in Game 1? Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And joining me, as always, on Thursday, host of Locked On Bulls with the nepotism. What you got for me, Pat the designer?
It's so quiet. It's just no background.
I'm on the road. I don't have the soundboard with me.
I've never heard the show this quiet. It feels so wrong.
It's because it's the eve of the NBA Finals, and it's that eerie calm before the storm feeling. It's about to get going, and yet it's all
why
silent.
is the sky green and blue?
All
What's
silent
going on there?
All silent on the East Coast front over here. I am in Boston. I'm here for the NBA Finals. I'll be going to my first finals. I'm very excited about that. Mavs and Celtics. Today we're going to talk about we're going to guess the discourse is what I'm calling it. What is the discourse going to be after one of these teams wins tomorrow night? So let's get into that. But we'll also play Count It Up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including Kyrie had some interesting apparel on today. I don't know if you saw this, but it was 100% on purpose, and I'm going to tell you why. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's start here, Pat. One of these teams is going to win Game 1 of the NBA Finals, and the discourse will just go crazy. And in the NBA Finals, there's 2 days off in between these first 2 games. There is time. There's time for things to be said, for takes to be made, and things like that. And, of course, either fan base or either side, depending on who you feel is going to win. If you feel like the Celtics are going to win the series, if the Mavs are going to win the series, whoever wins Game 1, there will be takes galore afterwards. So let's start with the Mavs side of it. If the Mavs win Game 1, what will be said about them? Let's just do the Mavs side because we'll do if the Celtics lose. But what will be said about the Mavs if they win Game 1?
Well, let's start it off here. First off, I told you I had a little surprise for you. So I want to show you, dare I say, where my allegiance lies. I have had this for probably more than 10 years, 10 plus years, because he was still in the league. I'm going to go solo layout here for you. Oh, yeah, I'm breaking it out. And it's a kid jersey.
The old school kid
and
jersey.
And it's a Jayson kid jersey. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that I'm fairly confident in a Mavs win here.
Wow, in Game 1.
As I die and take my headphones off.
The equipment is flying everywhere. The jersey's going on.
Here's the wild part. My dad bought this for me when I was like 14. I was not this big. It's still big on me. So shout out to Pops. But yeah, man.
Extra big jersey. Shout out to Allen Iverson.
No, I mean, here's my thing with it, right? Realistically speaking, if the Mavs are to win, there's no questions about it. It's Luka Doncic. The headlines will be Luka showed up in Boston for a Game 1 win. I know that he's been dealing with some things. Hopefully the time off allows him to heal up a little bit, but there are 2 players on this team that transcend all of the defense that Boston can throw at them. And I believe that Boston's focal point will be on one of them because of something that we saw you do on Twitter. Of course, going out there, stepping on Lucky.
I walked across it.
I don't know. It was a hard plant on that.
Walked across it.
It was a hard plant. But a little, I believe there was a middle finger to the crowd in Boston at one point.
Oh, yeah. That was not from me.
That was not you. That was not you. That was Kyrie. But I think that the focal point will be on, we know what it means if Kyrie comes into this building and beats us. We're going to focus on him. Luka's got to step up. The headline has to be Luka Doncic wakes up and absolutely dominates Boston in Boston. And I think that that's what the storyline comes down to. How is he going to be able to transcend this Boston defense that has been fairly elite the entire season?
I think coming into this, if the Mavs win Game 1, I think on what you said, the Mavs are ready for the moment, because that's the big question about the Mavericks right now is, are they ready for this moment? You got the Celtics, who have all kind of been there before. Horford's been there before. Tatum and Brown, there's a lot of talk about 2022 and how they lost and how they weren't ready for the moment then because they've been to a bunch of Eastern Conference finals, but they've only been to the finals one other time besides this year. Drew Holiday has won it with the Milwaukee Bucks. He's been there before. The only guy really in their rotation that has not been there before is Porzingis, who has played less playoff games than Dereck Lively, who is a rookie on the Mavs side of things. Porzingis only plays in first-round series and finals. That's the only it's the only time in the playoffs he plays. So everybody else, though, is there and has more experience in the playoffs than the Mavericks. However, you've got Kyrie, who's been there a couple times. You've got Luka, who's played in EuroLeague games, and he talked about how somebody asked him today at Media Day, what's the wildest environment you've ever been in? And he talked about playing playing what's the
get it out.
One of the Greek teams. John's gonna be so mad at me. He talked about playing one of the Greek teams, when he was there for EuroLeague, and he was like, it was nuts. It was wild. The team went up 22-0, and all of a sudden the place just exploded, and it was a big bonus to that that Greece team. And so I think that it will be, but everybody else besides Luka and Kyrie have not been there before. PJ Washington, this is his first playoff run. Dereck Lively, first playoff run. Daniel Gafford only played 5 games in the playoffs for your Chicago Bulls, not even the Wizards. Yeah. And Derrick Jones Jr. hasn't been too far in the playoffs before, even though he's played a little bit. Like this team, the narrative afterwards, if they win, would be they were ready for the moment. They were tested. That's a big thing that people are talking about right now is who's the more tested team coming into this, at least this season. The Mavs have gone through the Clippers in round 1. They were with and without Kawhi a couple times, but still James Harden and Paul George. Then they played and the Clippers had the 4th best offense. They played the Thunder, who were top 5 in both offense and defense. So they were tested there. Then they played the Timberwolves, who had the best defense in the NBA and one of the best defenses we've seen in a long time. And so they've been tested a bunch of times throughout this, whereas the Celtics walked through the Eastern Conference with a bunch of injuries. And so that would be the conversation afterwards, is that the Mavs were ready for the moment. They were tested. They came out, and the Celtics need to adjust. We'll talk about the Celtics side on the next part, but the Mavs side would be, all right, they were ready for the moment, and they were there. What if the Mavs lose game 1? What would be the talk around the Mavericks then?
The Mavs losing game 1, would, to me, the talk around them would be the others did not play the way that they've played.
Yes.
Through the first 3 series. I mean, you cannot undersell the fact that the one game that the Mavs lost in the Western Conference Finals, Dereck Lively was not available for. You cannot undersell how important Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington have been defensively to this team. And I think that they've raised their level based on how Kyrie and Luka have raised their defense on the other side as well. Both of them have been kind of the leaders and the catalysts of this, and it's just made those guys who are already elite defenders, DJJ as well, even better defenders in this playoff series. I think that we will be talking about a lack of defense, more than likely down low, if anything. Porzingis is we can sit here and talk on him. I know there's a special hate in your heart for Kristaps Porzingis based on the history of Mavs. It's
not the same. It is not the same as Boston fans with Kyrie. I will be very clear about that.
Okay, well, I mean, there's a lot of room. That's like, hey,
there's a disappointment.
That's a long way, dog. Like, you can't say Boston fans with Kyrie. That's like, hey, if you never play basketball again, we'd be good. Versus like, hey, I slightly dislike you. You know what I mean?
I had an Uber driver today that had the classic Boston accent, and I think he would be okay if Kyrie never breathed again.
Okay.
It goes deep for some of them.
Yeah, Boston sports hits different. I'll tell you that much. But ooh. I think that the conversation around a lot of what a loss would be based on Kristaps Porzingis kind of getting himself going down low, being able to stretch the floor as well, right? Like, I think the bigs that you have on this team in Dallas are so important in this game, especially right, because even if he gets going a little bit, it just opens things up for Al Horford to take his game to the next level.
Yeah, I think if the Mavs lose, it would be more about what the Mavs lack. It's like, they lack this. They got through, and then this matchup for them is just not good because their bigs can't play defense against this 5-out offense. The Mavs really have not faced a 5-out offense like this because it doesn't exist anywhere else in the NBA. Like, no other team has a team that has their top 8 guys all take 3 or more threes a game. Like, just nobody has that. All their set, Horford, Porzingis, all that. They weren't ready for the spacing. They weren't ready for this moment. Luka and Kyrie can't do it all. I feel like that would be a conversation for sure. It would start with them, I think. And if the Mavs lose, I think it starts around there. But your point about the others not stepping up is massive because then, a lot of Thunder fans after the Mavs beat them were like, oh, they just got lucky with PJ Washington turning it. Matt Moore, who was on this very show and Locked On Nuggets, who does not have very many fans in the Mavs fandom. Let's just say that, said PJ Washington turned into Ray Allen for 6 games against the Thunder, and that's how they won. He did shoot the ball really well. They left him open a lot, but
I was gonna say he kind of did.
if that doesn't happen, then in game 1, then the conversation will be, oh, they just got here because they got lucky with a couple role players. And so coming up, let's talk about if the Celtics win game 1, what would be the conversation around them? If they lose game 1, we'll tell you what the conversation will be and who will get blamed. Coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Use the code to get all the tickets that you need. Use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. I used Game Time, Pat. Our friend of Locked On Big 12, Drake Toll, great podcast host, is the play-by-play announcer for the Party Animals, who play against the Savannah Bananas. Have you heard of this baseball team?
I have, yeah.
Incredible stuff.
Big Savannah Banana guy.
It's very great stuff from Drake Toll. And they're here in Boston, so I'm going to go see them on Saturday. And I went to Game Time, and I got my tickets there on Game Time. It's super easy. You can see the view from your seat. So I'm looking around, and I'm like, all right, where's the best seat in Fenway? And I'm looking around to see where I can get it. They also have flash deals, zone deals, all in pricing. So I knew exactly when I went to the site, I was looking for Savannah Bananas tickets, and I was like, all right, give me the all-in pricing so I know exactly what I'm going to pay at checkout. I'm not going to be taken aback by all the fees that show up at the end. Download the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying Savannah Banana tickets or NBA Finals tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem that code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA, being part of the show, being an everydayer, listening every day. We appreciate each and every one of you. We have a daily 24/7 stream that covers the gambit in sports, not the X-Men, but the entire landscape of NBA. All kinds of stuff on NBA, NFL, all that kind of stuff. The name's Gambit. Remember it.
You said it.
Everything on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 feed on Amazon Fire or on YouTube. All right, Pat, we talked about the Mavs side. Let's talk about the Celtics side. If the Celtics win game 1, what would be the conversation around them?
The conversation, I think, for the Celtics is, can they do it again? I mean, how many times have they been here? It's can you finally finish the job? Game 1 is not to say it's not important, but the storyline behind it is not important to me because the focus on the Celtics is not that they can't win games in the NBA Finals. It's can they win the NBA Finals? I think that you would have a story based around, all right, yeah, Jayson Tatum probably had a good game. Jaylen Brown played well. Kristaps Porzingis did what he did. All these great things. Oh, we're so excited. Drew Holiday got 6 steals, blah, blah, blah. But right after that, it would be, can you do it again?
Yeah, right. What have you done for me lately?
They've done this. They've been in a position to win finals games, to go out there and be the team that you're sitting there going, oh, they're going to get this. This is finally going to be their year to do it. It's all for the Celtics. This storyline doesn't get serious to me until you're a game away from winning an NBA championship, and then it's finally, all right, let's seal the deal.
Exactly. It's oh, this is old hat. It's expected to happen. They're 6.5-point favorites according to FanDuel. Like, oh, you guys are supposed to do this. I feel like they wouldn't get, honestly, even somebody covering the Mavericks, I feel like the Celtics would not get credit for winning a game 1. Right? Like, it'd be, this is what you're supposed to do, right? It wouldn't be like great job, Celtics. Like, way to do this. Tatum did that. It would be like, you're supposed to. So we just expect it.
The headline would be the headline would be more of a how did the Mavericks lose this game than how did the Celtics win this game? Even on a Celtics headline, it would still be, well, of course you guys won, but like, how'd they lose? Like, what can they change? Because it's like you said, fair or not, there is an expectation with Jayson Tatum. And I do want to say this. The slander on Tatum is outlandish at this point.
Do you hear him get asked the question?
27.
Do you hear him get asked the question today? Like, somebody asked him, you've been the most scrutinized player on the Celtics throughout this run. And he looks up to the ceiling as the question is being asked. He takes a fake left-handed, mimes a jump shot and goes, you think?
No, it's just like, dude, he's 27. If he wins his first NBA title at 27, there's a lot of years left, bro. There's a lot of time left. He's been to 3 NBA finals now. He's been to 5 or 6 ECFs at this point. Like, He's a pretty good basketball player. And so I think because of that, though, the expectation is literally you've succeeded this much, get the job done.
Yeah, I think that the conversation around if they win would not be as interesting as if the Celtics lose game one. Let's get into that one, because if the Celtics lose game one, the Uber driver that I had coming back from the arena today would not be happy, would be calling for some heads, I feel like, if they lose game one. All of a sudden, I feel like the sky would be falling, because you lose home court advantage then, and then all of a sudden, oh no, we weren't ready. We weren't tested for this moment. The other team was more ready. We just walked through this Eastern Conference, and now we've got to pick it up. Maybe Porzingis doesn't have a good game coming back from injury, and that becomes a conversation. Tatum and Brown can't get it done in the big moments. We don't know whose team this is. I think all those things will start to emerge if they lose game one.
Yeah, I think that's exactly, you hit the nail on the head at the end of it. Who's going to step up? That would be the headline, because it would instantly go to Jayson Tatum is not a number one on a team. It would instantly go to where these two don't fit together, which I do think there's some conversation on where they occupy a lot of the same space, but they keep getting the NBA finals. You got to give them credit for something. I do think that there's a little bit of overlap. I do think that at times it gets to your turn, my turn. But both of them are really good players, and I really think that the conversation around if they were to lose would definitely be who's going to step up outside of Jayson Tatum, because immediately Boston fans and probably NBA fans around the world who have put this expectation on Tatum that he's not the guy would sit there and say, well, clearly he's not the answer we need. Who's going to close out this series for us?
Yeah, they didn't get enough help, but I think it would be more on just Tatum and Brown just not being able to get it done. I think a lot of Celtics wins this season have become because of the others. They have this collective of really great players. Sometimes Tatum and Brown don't have to have the best games in order for their teams to win. Whereas on the Mavs side, like Luka and Kyrie have to be good for them to win games a lot of times. And so, you get on the Celtics side, it would be, well, Tatum and Brown didn't show up big, can't show up for the moment. We've had conversations about them all year that they just sleepwalk sometimes through fourth quarters or sleepwalk through crunch time and they lose because they are very good, a very good team. They're expected to win these games. They're a 6.5 point favorite going into this game one of the finals. They're a favorite in the series. They're supposed to win this. But if they lose, how much talk would go around Joe Mazzulla? Because there has been talk about him as the head coach of the Celtics and questioning if he can get it done at that level. What talk would be around Joe Mazzulla if they lose game one?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it would be, is Joe Mazzulla underutilizing this team? Again, whether it's fair or not, you're sitting in another NBA finals. You're sitting in your second NBA final in 3 years, right? But it would be, is Joe Mazzulla underutilizing this team? Almost a similar conversation to when LeBron ends up losing with David Blatt, right? Like, you got LeBron James, and yeah, he dragged that team to the finals, but like, you got to figure out how to use LeBron James. David Blatt was going that next year. And sometimes we do see that, especially more in the modern NBA than in the past, where the conversation around Joe Mazzulla, now I don't know if this would be game one, but if you end up losing,
I think the sky would be falling.
There may be some sky falling fans out there, but it would be the conversation on him would be, you're coaching another. What's the right way to say it? You're coaching another failure to get the job done.
Falling short again. I feel like it would be the pressure would start to mount. I think
that's a better way to say it,
or at least the conversation would be the pressure starting to mount on Joe Mazzulla to get it done because they haven't. It's kind of the same thing with Tatum and Brown. It's like, hey, you've got the tools, you've got the players, you've got the horses, you got to be able to get this done. And if you've got
the Eastern Conference.
I mean, they walked through the Eastern Conference. So, but this team is good. This is a very good team. Yeah. I think the conversation around them not being tested through the East too would start to come up too. Oh, this team wasn't ready for the playoff atmosphere. Weren't ready. Joe Mazzulla, John Krause asked him a question about how do you take it from playoff games to the NBA Finals? Like, how do you get your team ready when the lights are brighter? And Joe Mazzulla looked at John Krause and said, unless they change the light bulbs, the lights aren't going to get any brighter. It's the same brightness as when we played here in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I was like, all right, if that's your mentality going into this, that it's just like any other game, we're just going to go into it like, hey, it's the same court, it's the same basketball, it's the same lights, it's the same guys around us. You better go in and win this and take care of business because you are favorites and you are expected to win.
Yeah, and when you've dominated at the level that they have, you probably do feel that way. And when you've bet, there is something, the lights being brighter for Dallas to me, there's one dude on the Dallas Mavericks. Oh, I guess two, right? Two guys on the Dallas Mavericks who may come into this game and say, no, the lights aren't brighter. We're going in there ready to play. It's Kyrie and Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd's played there and won. Kyrie's played there and won.
Luka will be the same too. He's played in a EuroLeague final. He's played in crazier atmospheres. I mean, I think he'll be ready for it.
I don't know. I know a lot of players, former players who have played in the EuroLeague finals and stuff like that, and they still say the NBA, the pressure around the NBA finals.
Yeah,
is
but
different.
were they 18? Were they 18?
No,
when they
you're
won
not.
The MVP in Euro. I mean,
no, you're not 18. But
did
it's
the fans have road flares and like fire and things in the stands?
That does make a difference. I will say that weaponry in the stands is frowned upon here.
You're not necessarily in danger in Boston, like physically in danger.
I don't know. Well, Luka maybe not. Luka's probably fine. I mean, he's got the right skin complexion. But never mind.
Coming up, let's talk.
There we go. Hey-oh. Shout out Kyrie Irving.
Oh, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it in game one. I'm excited to be in the building and to hear it because oh my gosh, it's gonna
Nick,
be.
I think you'll be excited. You're gonna hear some words that maybe you've never heard used in your vicinity before. I can't wait to hear your recap when we get to next Wednesday.
I appreciate you think I haven't heard these words. Coming up, let's get into Count It Up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including Kyrie Irving wore a specific item of clothing today that I think was send a message. I just don't know which one, and you got to tell me what it is. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com and you can turn $10 into $1,000. $1,000. All you have to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections, and you're locked in. So go to prizepicks.com and check out what's available for the NBA Finals. They're going to have all kinds of stuff. They're going to have Luka Doncic, more or less 30.5 points. They're going to have Jayson Tatum, more or less 27.5 points, something like that. And you have to pick more or less on there. Super fun if you want to have a little bit extra, have a little bit more fun with the NBA Finals. The Finals means more on PrizePicks, so do the star players. You get boosted payouts on select basketball stars you won't find anywhere else. Go check it out, see what's available. They also have a bunch of different other leagues too. It's not just NBA. They have all those other kind of things as well. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com. Download the app. Use that code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100 at prizepicks.com. All right, Pat, it's that time of the week where we talk about the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including
Big Chicken, baby. Zion Williams and porn star.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
Finally, some music.
Today, as part of the silent pod today, Kyrie Irving in practice today was wearing these pants that almost were like a canvas bag material. You know how like the 3-man or like the potato sack races you used to do in school?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that kind of material, and it had all these designs around it. Like in different spots it had these designs. Right on the left butt cheek is a giant green shamrock on the back of his pants, on the butt of his pants. This to me is either a terrible coincidence or something he definitely 100% I think he did on purpose. But why did he do it on purpose? A shamrock on the butt.
Listen, Kyrie may have grown. Kyrie has probably gone less visceral towards the Boston fans as far as what he's saying, what he's doing on the court. But he still don't like him. Some of the stuff that Kyrie had said to him while he was on the court, on the sidelines and stuff, he still don't like you. And so he's letting you know one thing. Kiss my like you know what I mean? Like, what are we really confused about on this one?
Friend of the show, Ben Golliver, posted a good image of it, and me and him and Jonah Javad from WFA in Dallas spent a long time trying to get a very good picture of it because his shirt covered half of it, and then he would take a jumper, and I'm like, what are we doing? What am I doing here that I'm spending all this time trying to take
BBL Drizzy.
It was one of the weirdest professional experiences I've had doing this job so far. I'm like, I've just got to get the left butt cheek.
So did you just admit to on recording spending, what are we saying, 30 minutes here?
Not 30. No, like
taking
5.
multiple pictures of Kyrie's butt? Is that what you're telling me you did? Or relax.
I had to clean the camera roll afterwards.
Relax, Meek Mill.
The NBA is nearing a $76 billion TV deal, what the Wall Street Journal calls a defining moment for media and sports. They're near a deal that will pay out an average of NBC is going to pay $2.5 billion a year to the NBA to have exclusive rights to air on Peacock and other streaming services. My question is for you.
Count it up.
$76 billion?
Get your money however you can get it. Hey, listen, there's a reason.
Here's my real question. $76 billion. Is that worth losing inside the NBA?
I was going to say, take pride in the fact to all the TNT crew out there that it took $76 billion
to convince them to
get you off the air.
To leave maybe one of the best live TV shows that we have left.
Yeah. I mean, listen, here's what I pray. I pray they do not try to recreate it. Look at NFL on Fox. Understand that you can't do it. Gronk is terrible. It doesn't work. You cannot recreate the chemistry that's there. It doesn't work on ESPN. It doesn't work on any other network. Like there's certain things that just NBC, find your niche and understand that this is going to be your thing. I don't know if maybe they still do like watch party style things where we've seen where they do that and they kind of can get away with it. I don't know if that's going to happen or how that would work out, but NBC is not built for the they're built for the exactly what they were in the past. I don't see them going with the Turner model. We're just going to deal with preppy basketball for the rest of our days.
So we're going to get a eight person panel on halftime shows, and we're going to get like the Olympics coverage style stuff where they just have guys in studios standing around.
At this point, the only way to make it interesting to me is like find a way to get Michael Jordan to join the panel. Like, he's not going to do it.
I was going to say only if he would agree to like actually say things, because I could see Jordan just like brushing it off.
I could see Jordan sitting up there for 30 minutes and just going, I mean, listen, they ain't got 6 rings, but they okay. You know what I mean? Larry Bird back in the day, phenomenal player, but
they got 6 rings. They got 6 rings. They got 6.
And I'd watch every single minute of it.
Over and over again. $76 billion for the NBA. And hey, RIP to all the league is dying. They're not going to get the money, all this. I mean, we're going to see.
Yeah. The league is not dead.
We're going to see these massive contracts go up and up and up for the NBA. And SGA, I think, when he hits his Supermax, I think it's going to be making like $80 million in the final year of this deal.
Well, as a Bulls fan, I won't see any of those contracts. So you all enjoy all of that. I mean, listen, there's nobody on this team that is going to be making money. At this point, we're paying the players in like deep dish pizza and like Malort.
Malort. Oh, my gosh. There's a phenomenon in Minnesota that I got to see firsthand around NAZ REID. Have you seen this? Where they have this, they gave away this towel that just says NAZ REID, period. And people just say to each other, NAZ REID. Like, you'll just be in a conversation with a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, and they'll just say NAZ REID. Just out of nowhere. You're not talking about him. You're not talking about the Timberwolves. It has become this thing where they just love NAZ REID. He's become this role player who was undrafted, who came out and all of a sudden had a, basically a coming out party for the Timberwolves, and he's been great for them. He was great during the playoffs and all that. There was a valedictorian of a local high school that ended his speech like this.
Understanding more completely the meaning of our lives. Thank you. NAZ REID.
That's how he ended my question is. Has there ever been a role player like this that has become such a cultural phenomenon for a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves have, where people just say the name to each other? There are billboards. I was in Minnesota. Billboards just say NAZ REID on them. There's NAZ REID's face all over the place. He is a role player. He's the third center off the bench. He was the 6th man of the year this year, but he still is like the not a starter for them, and it's become this like cultural phenomenon in Minnesota. I can't think of another role player that has become like this.
I can't think of a role player whose name has become
like
a household item in this way.
Dennis Rodman is a guy that became that for like very different reasons, but he was a starter, is going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't think NAZ REID's going to be like a Hall of Famer.
He's a Hall of Famer already. Dennis is it.
Which Hall of Fame? Which Hall of Fame?
The Basketball Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Dennis is it. Calm down.
That's why I said he is a Hall of Famer.
He's also in the never mind. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, he may also be in the WWE Hall of Fame, but that's a whole nother.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
He may also be in there.
But he was there for being a star and being a personality and Carmen Electra and all that stuff, the hair and everything. But NAZ REID just for being like a crazy, like fun basketball player that this city just loves.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take it back. I take it back. Now, this is probably the only one that's comparable, and he's nowhere near as good. But Mo Bamba was a sensation in this country.
Got a song, the Sheck West song.
Got an entire song about
huge.
Mo Bamba was a sensation in this country, and I can't name you one Mo Bamba play. Like I can't name you a block.
Nope.
But I can go. I got
like my
young Sheck West song. Yeah, I was testing you there, Nick.
Just want to know that.
Just want to see how you were going to be in those stands there. You know what I mean?
Words I've never heard before.
There's some black players on the Boston Celtics, too. I'm watching you.
But NAZ REID has become a phenomenon in Minnesota. I got to see it firsthand, and I honestly very much enjoyed it. And I love that there's this player like this that has become this household name as a sixth man of the year even. Like Jamal Crawford didn't become that, really. Right? Like Lou Williams didn't really become that. NAZ REID has become that in Minnesota specifically.
I think players' quotes have taken on bigger lives than their actual name. Like I always think anytime somebody brings up Cleveland, I think a lot of times people are like, Cleveland? Do you vacation in Cleveland? Do you like Cleveland? You know what I mean? Like
I just think of LeBron saying Cleveland. This
yeah,
is
like but
even
that, you know what I mean? Like that is like it's more of the
you're thinking
things
the
that
Joakim
they've
Noah one.
said, the Joakim Noah one. It's more of the things that they've said than it is the player himself. NAZ REID just get a NAZ REID.
NAZ REID.
6 rings. NAZ REID.
It does have a ring to it.
It's got a ring. It's
only 7 letters. NAZ REID. Like
NAZ REID.
There's something about the ring to the. I think we're onto something where it's something about because you wouldn't do Karl-Anthony Towns. Like if he was in NAZ REID's place, like it wouldn't be the same, right? Or Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
With Cat, you just go for sure.
Work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Nah, it's NAZ REID is smooth. Is there a meaning behind it, or are they just saying NAZ REID? Like, are they just saying is NAZ REID like the new bear down like a roll tide? Is that what that is? Like, is that what it's becoming in Minnesota? Like, well after he's gone, it's gonna be NAZ REID.
You think there's a secret meaning that people outside of Minnesota don't know?
Yeah, I think that's what's happening here. I think you got to watch yourself.
Oh my God!
If you hear 2 NAZ REIDs,
it's like, have you ever heard of the people that got like a pineapple tattoo because of like a show like Psych or something like that, where the pineapple or like it's a sign of hospitality, but it's also a sign of hospitality in other ways.
I was gonna say, Nick, I don't think that has to do with Psych. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, that's what I'm saying. But some people do. There's this whole subreddit of Psych, the TV show. People are like, I had to remove my Psych pineapple tattoo because I kept having people come up to me and ask if I swing.
Is that pineapple upside down or right side up? You know what I'm saying?
NAZ REID.
But NAZ REID. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. I might start saying it. I might start saying NAZ REID on the show. I'm not lying.
There you go. Let us know in the comment section what you think about the Kyrie Irving pants. What you think about NAZ REID. What you think about the NBC deal. All that kind of stuff. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA. Go listen to Locked On Bulls all throughout the offseason. What are they going to do? Go listen to Locked On Mavs. I don't know. We got stuff to talk about.
Bye-bye.
Boom.